headlines. China puts its power on parade, a show of force marking Victory Day, but sending a message of strength to the world. Kyiv says no. Ukraine rejects the idea of talks in Moscow, shutting the door on Putin's terms. In Thailand, a power test looms. Lawmakers gear up for a high-stakes vote that could decide the nation's future. Putin opens the door, saying Zelensky is welcome in Moscow, but only if the talks have substance. EU under fire. Slovakia's prime minister slams European leaders for skipping China's parade, accusing them of isolation. A hot mic shocker. Xi, Putin and Kim caught in an unscripted exchange just moments before Beijing's Grand Parade. A private conversation spilled into the public spotlight, raising questions about what the three leaders really think behind closed doors. Putin pushes peace. The Russian leader shrugs off conspiracy claims and praises Donald Trump's peace party. And in music buzz, Ed drops a shocker. Global superstar Ed Sheeran unveils surprise shows that have fans buzzing. I'm Jayne Codnita. Newsline World starts now. A former Malacanang official has made an appeal to the current administration, urging it to focus on governance instead of political maneuvering, especially on issues tied to corruption and flood control. Find out who on this report by MJ Mondihar.
Bakit hindi siya nag-recuse? Masyadong maliwanag, nagkukutsabaan kayo lahat para may pasok niyo si Rimulya. Kaya dapat hindi niyo ipagpilitan si Rimulya.
For former Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo, the administration should not insist on making Justice Secretary Boying Rimulya the ombudsman. Rimulya is facing a case before the ombudsman in relation to the referral of former President Rodrigo Duterte to the International Criminal Court or ICC, where Senator Amy Marcos is the complainant. According to the 2020 revised rules of the Judicial and Bar Council or JBC, the government body that leads the selection of justices and the ombudsman, applicants with pending criminal or admin cases may be disqualified. Applicants must also secure clearances from multiple government agencies, including additional clearance if facing complaints like Rimulya. But for Attorney Panelo, the decision ultimately rests with President Marcos.
Mr. President, talaga bang ikaw gusto mong sirain ang sarili mo? Ang hirap mong ipagtanggol. Kasi nga ikaw gumagawa mismo ng kalokohan mo. Kalokohan nila. Complicit ka Tinotolerate mo sila
Beyond the JBC rules, Senator Amy Marcos claims that there are links between acting Ombudsman Dante Vargas and Justice Secretary Rimulya, alleging that Vargas's wife was a law school classmate of Rimulya. According to Marcos, Vargas' wife was a classmate of Rimulya at University of the Philippines College of Law. The senator further alleges that acting Ombudsman Vargas is under tremendous pressure and facing a huge bribe to dismiss the criminal and admin cases filed against Rimulya in order for him to qualify as ombudsman.
Kaya gustong-gusto man kita ipagtanggol dahil hanga ako sa tatay mo. Paano ipagtatanggol sa ginagawa mo? Pinagpipilitan mo yan si Rimulya. Sapagat si Rimulya, hindi naman yan papasok dyan kung hindi mo tinimbrehan yan na gusto mong ilagay dyan.
In the end, Panelo called on President Marcos Jr. to stop politicking against Vice President Sara Duterte, urging the administration to focus its full attention instead on more pressing national issues such as the flood control scam.
Tigilan nyo na yan. Meron ka pang halos 3 taon pa o mga 2 taon mahigit upang makarecover ka para yung tatay mo maging proud sa'yo. Sayang ka. Bibilin, sayang ka.
For Government of Philippines, MJ Mondihar, SM9 News.
Ukraine's top diplomat rejects the idea of President Vladimir Zelensky coming to Moscow for a talk with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Fatima Nozel reports.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says he's ready to host Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky if a meeting was well prepared and could deliver results.
After all, if Zelensky is ready, he can come to Moscow.
But Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiga rejected the idea outright, calling a Moscow meeting unacceptable. Sybiga took to X to say that at least 7 countries, including Austria, the Holy See, Switzerland, Turkey, and 3 Gulf states, have already offered to host a summit. He accuses Putin of messing around with everyone and urges the international community to ramp up pressure on Russia. Putin has long argued he is open to meeting Zelensky only at the final stage of negotiations. At the same time, he continues to question Zelensky's legitimacy, saying his presidential term has expired. Russia insists that any peace deal must include recognition of its new borders and Ukraine's abandonment of NATO membership ambitions. Reporting, this has been Fatima Nazo, SMNI News.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says he is ready to host Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky in Moscow, but insists such a meeting must have substance. Franco Baranda will give us the details.
Speaking to reporters in Beijing at the close of his 4-day visit to China, Putin stressed that talks for the sake of talks are a path to nowhere, but a meeting with Zelensky is indeed possible.
It is possible. I never rule this out. If the meeting is well prepared and if it leads to a positive potential outcome, it is possible. And by the way, Donald asked me if it's possible to have such a meeting, and I said that it is.
The Russian leader said US President Donald Trump personally requested such a meeting during their summit in Alaska last month. Still, Putin raised doubts about whether any talks would be meaningful, questioning the legitimacy of the Ukrainian president. Zelensky's mandate, he said, has already expired and no mechanism exists to extend it.
In accordance with Ukrainian constitution, there is no way to extend a president's term. There is no tool in the constitution to do that. After you serve your 5 years as president, your time is over. There is a provision that says that under martial law, elections shall not be held. That is true. But it doesn't mean that the president's term is prolonged. His term runs out and his authority is passed down to the Speaker of the Ukrainian Parliament, including his authority as the Supreme Commander-in-Chief. So what should the current government do if they want to be legitimate and take part in the settlement process? They should hold a referendum in accordance with the Ukrainian constitution.
Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov told Indonesia's Kompas newspaper that Moscow remains focused on resolving the conflict peacefully. Lavrov pointed to renewed rounds of talks this year in Istanbul, which produced prisoner exchanges and repatriation of fallen soldiers. Reporting for Newsline World, Franco Baranda, SMNI News.
Thailand's political crisis is heading for another showdown. After the acting government's failed attempt to dissolve parliament, lawmakers are now set to vote for a new prime minister, a decision that could shape the country's future. Here's Prince Tripoli for the details.
There's a new twist in the Thailand's political deadlock. The House of Representatives is now set to vote for a new prime minister on Friday after a dramatic setback to the acting government's attempt to dissolve parliament. The development came after Thailand's Privy Council reportedly rejected a draft royal decree submitted by acting Prime Minister Phumtham Wechayachai. Phumtham, who stepped in after the Constitutional Court removed Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra last week, had sought to dissolve the House and pave the way for early elections. But the Privy Council sent the proposal back, saying it did not follow established procedures and pointing out that a caretaker government has no legal authority to dissolve parliament. With that move off the table, lawmakers are now preparing for a crucial vote on Friday. The leading candidate is Anutin Charnvirakul, the 58-year-old leader of the Bumchai Thai party. His bid is backed by the 143-member People's Party, the largest bloc in parliament. Anyutin has previously served in coalition governments led by both civilian and military-backed leaders. If elected, he would be expected to govern under strict conditions, including dissolving parliament within 4 months to hold new elections and possibly a constitutional referendum. Friday's vote could deliver a new leader or deepen the deadlock. Either way, Thailand slides into yet another round of political turbulence. Prince Tripoli, your citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
Hawaii's Kilauea volcano erupted again on Wednesday, its 32nd eruption since December 2024. Lava fountains reaching up to 100 meters shot from the crater, while molten rock flowed from several vents. The eruptions, which have typically lasted to 10 to 12 hours, remain confined to the crater and pose no immediate danger to surrounding communities. Scientists say this is only the 4th time in 2 centuries that Kilauea has shown such a pattern of repeated lava fountains. A similar sequence began in 1983, leading to a continuous lava flow that lasted until 2018. Experts remain uncertain about the volcano's next phase. Activity could shift to lower ground or gradually subside if magma supply decreases. Authorities continue to monitor seismic and geological signals closely. Despite warnings of unstable terrain and hazardous gases, the eruption has attracted large numbers of visitors to the area. Coming up, EU under fire. Slovakia's Prime Minister slams European leaders for skipping China's parade, accusing them of isolation. And in music buzz, Ed drops a shocker. Global superstar Ed Sheeran unveils surprise shows that have fans buzzing. More news when Newsline World returns.
Madalas ka bang napapasobra sa pag-scroll sa phone mo kahit puro masasamang balita ang nakikita mo? Isipin mo ito. Nakahiga ka na sa kama, nagche-check lang ng phone bago matulog. Tapos, hindi mo na malayan, ilang oras ka na palang nagbabasa at nanonood ng mga balita tungkol sa digmaan, sakuna, politika, at lahat ng masasamang nangyayari sa mundo. Nakakaramdam ka na ng kaba at pagod, pero tuloy mo pa rin ang scroll mo. Ang tawag dyan ay doom scrolling. Ito ang habit ng paulit-ulit na pagtingin sa mga negatibo o nakaka-depress na content tulad ng digmaan, krimen, o problema sa mundo. Nakaka-stress pero hindi mo pa rin mapigilan. Ayon sa isang pag-aaral ng Texas Tech University, ang sobrang konsumo ng masasamang balita ay nauugnay sa pagtaas ng stress, anxiety at pisikal na sintomas gaya ng pagkapagod at sakit ng ulo. Ayon naman sa Harvard Health, ang doom scrolling ay nagpapataas ng fight or flight hormones tulad ng cortisol at adrenaline na nakakapagpabigat ng isip at katawan. Nakakaapekto ito sa iyong mood, tulog at maging sa mental at physical health mo. At kapag naman puro memes at random na content ang pinapanood mo ng sunod-sunod hanggang sa mawalan ka na ng gana na mag-isip at gumawa ng iba pang gawain, ang tawag naman dyan ay brain rot. Sa Gen Z at tinatawag na internet culture, ang brain rot ay overconsumption o sobrang tagal na panonood ng paulit-ulit, mababaw, magulo o walang saysay na content online hanggang sa parang manhid na ang utak mo. Kapag nasobrahan, syempre, nakakasama. Nawawalan ka na ng focus, nawawala ang motivation, hirap mag-isip ng malalim, parang lutang o foggy ang utak. Masaya sa simula, pero kapag sobra, napapagod ang isip mo. Nahihirapang mag-concentrate at parang lutang. Mas delikado pa ito sa mga bata dahil ang utak nila ay nasa proseso pa ng pag-develop. Kaya mas malakas ang epekto ng doom scrolling at brain rot sa kanila. Maaaring makaapekto sa pag-aaral, pag-iisip at pakikitungo sa iba. Ang higit sa 4 na oras ng screen time araw-araw sa mga kabataan ay konektado sa 35 to 88% na mas mataas na posibilidad ng depresyon, anxiety at stress. Base ito sa isang malawakang pag-aaral sa Brazil. Kaya, maging balanse. Magpahinga sa screen. Magbasa. Makipagkwentuhan. Magdasal. Maging present lagi. Alagaan ang iyong isipan. Kung anong itinatanim sa isipan mo, yun ang lalago.
Sa panahon ng tagulan, hindi lang baha at ulan ang dapat bantayan, kundi pati na rin ang mga sakit na pwedeng makahawa. At dahil ngayon ay rainy season, nagbabala ang Department of Health laban sa tinatawag na wild diseases. 4 na klase ng sakit na karaniwang nakukuha ng tao tuwing maulan. Ano ang dapat gawin para maiwasan ng wild diseases? Tumutok sa weather updates. Magsuot ng kapote at bota. Siguraduhing malinis ang iniinom na tubig. Agad kumonsulta sa health center kung may nararamdamang sintomas. Mainam din gawin ang 40 o taob, taktak, tuyo at takip para maiwasan ang dengue sa bahay at komunidad. Maglinis, magmasid, mag-ingat. Labanan ng wild diseases ngayong tagulan. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SMNI.
Sa kabila ng mga mas modernong kaalaman at teknolohiya, nananatiling matindi ang banta ng HIV sa Pilipinas. Pero gaano nga ba kalala ang sitwasyon? Ang HIV o Human Immunodeficiency Virus ay isang sakit na sumisira sa immune system ng katawan. Ngunit tandaan, hindi ito nakukuha sa simpleng pakikisalamuha. Hindi mo agad mararamdaman, pero unti-unti nitong pinapahina ang katawan. At kapag hindi naagapan, humahantong ito sa AIDS, ang huling yugto na impeksyon, kung saan halos wala ng panlaban ng katawan laban sa sakit. Patuloy na dumadami ang kaso ng sakit na ito sa Pilipinas. Isang nakababahalang pagtaas. Umabot na sa 500% ang itinaas ng HIV cases sa mga kabataang edad 15 hanggang 25. Ayon mismo sa Department of Health, 56 na bagong kaso ang naitatala kada araw sa bansa mula Enero hanggang Marso 2025. At ang pinakamatinding apektado, ang kalalakihan at kabataang Pilipino. Dahil dito, ang Pilipinas na ngayon ang may pinakamataas na bilang ng bagong kaso ng HIV sa buong Western Pacific region. Isang indikasyon ng lumulubahang sitwasyon. Kaya nananawagan ng Department of Health gawing opisyal at urgent ang laban sa HIV sa pamamagitan ng isang Public Health Emergency Declaration. Kalalakihan ng pangunahing apektado. 95% ng bagong kaso ay lalaki. Mahigit 1/3 ay kabataang nasa edad 15 hanggang 24. Habang wala pang deklarasyon, patuloy ang DOH sa mga sumusunod na hakbang: HIV testing, libreng gamot, self-test kits, at pakikipagtulungan sa DepEd para sa edukasyon sa mga paaralan. Isinulong rin ng DOH ang online patient appointment system para sa HIV patients. Layunin nitong gawing mas madali at mas personal ang pag-access sa libreng gamutan at konsultasyon. Ayon sa schedule ng pasyente, ang HIV ay hindi tulad ng flu. Hindi ito basta naipapasa sa hangin. Ito ay naipapasa sa pamamagitan ng personal na desisyon. Kailangan din nating pagtuunan ng pansin ang ugali, disiplina, at personal na responsibilidad. Isang paalala mula sa SMNI.
A sharp rebuke from Slovakia's Prime Minister Robert Fico is taking aim at fellow European leaders, accusing them of isolating themselves by skipping China's Victory Day parade. From Beijing, he framed the event not just as a remembrance of history, but as a stage where global power is being redefined. This report from Jillian Gutierrez.
Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico has slammed European leaders for skipping China's Grand Victory Day parade, an event marking 80 years since Japan's defeat in World War II. Speaking in Beijing, Fico said he regretted that the top representatives of EU member states were absent, calling it a serious miscalculation. He stressed that rather than isolating China, the no-shows only isolated the European Union itself.
Ak si mysleli, že takto dostanú čínske oslavy víťazstva v druhej svetovej vojne do izolácie, veľmi sa prerátali. Lebo ak bol dnes niekto izolovaný, tak to bola Európska únia.
The Slovak leader praised the parade as a powerful symbol of President Xi Jinping's message that China is ready to play a decisive role in shaping a new peaceful world order. Fico also revealed he held informal talks with around 10 heads of state during his visit to Beijing, saying discussions centered on boosting diplomatic ties and exploring new joint initiatives. He and Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić were the only European leaders present at the celebrations, which drew delegations from 26 countries across Asia, Africa, Europe, and Latin America. Among them, Russian President Vladimir Putin, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian, and Zimbabwe's Emerson Mnangagwa. For Fico, the message was clear. Europe missed an opportunity to stand alongside Beijing on a stage that was as much about history as it was about the future of global power. Jillian Gutierrez, your citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
A military flyover and warm words. U.S. President Donald Trump rolled out a high-profile welcome for Poland's new president, Karol Nawrocki, at the White House. Security alliances and a touch of personal praise dominated their first official meeting. Val Divina Gracia tells us more.
United States President Donald Trump welcomed Polish President Karol Nawrocki to the White House Wednesday afternoon, complete with a military flyover. The F-16s formed a missing man salute in tribute to Polish pilot Maciej Krakowian, who was killed last week in a training accident. During their talks, Trump reassured Warsaw of America's military presence in Poland.
If anything, we'll put more there if they want, but they've long wanted to have a larger presence. We're very much aligned with Poland.
President Nawrocki underscored just how important U.S. forces are to his country's security.
This is the first time in Polish history, in 20th century and the 21st century, that the Poles are happy that we have foreign soldiers in Poland. This is the signal to the whole world and also to the Russian Federation that we are together.
The two leaders also highlighted Poland's defense spending, which has now climbed above 4.7% of GDP, and pledged even closer cooperation in security and trade. Trump praised Nawrocki's recent election victory, calling him a popular and a successful leader, while Nawrocki thanked Trump for his campaign endorsement and for strengthening Polish-American ties. The visit comes just a month after Nawrocki's inauguration and before he continues his trip to Rome for a meeting with Pope Leo. For Trump, the meeting underscored Poland as a loyal NATO ally, and for Nawrocki, it was a chance to show that Warsaw's partnership with Washington remains stronger than ever. Reporting for Newsline World, this is Val Divina Gracia. SMNA News.
President Bongbong Marcos Jr. on Thursday led the ceremonial signing of RA number 12253, or the Enhanced Fiscal Regime for Large-Scale Metallic Mining Act, at Malacanang Palace. The law consolidates the provisions of House Bill number 8937 and Senate Bill number 2826. It seeks to simplify and rationalize the fiscal regime for large-scale metallic mining. The newly enacted law requires mining firms operating in government-designated mineral reservations to pay a 5% royalty under gross output. For mining operations outside these reservations, a margin-based royalty will be imposed, meaning the rate depends on the company's profit levels. Additionally, the law introduces extra taxes on windfall profits, applying when a mining company's profit margin exceeds 30%. This aims to ensure the government secures a fair share of high earnings, ultimately benefiting the Filipino people. For For today's Hollywood updates, daytime TV is about to get more exciting as Kelly Clarkson officially returns for the much-awaited season 7 of her hit talk show, premiering this September. Meanwhile, global superstar Ed Sheeran is giving UK fans an early holiday treat with 2 special concerts just in time to celebrate the release of his new album. Here's Andrea Santos for our showbiz news.
Mark your calendars. The Kelly Clarkson Show is back. After a short break, Kelly is returning to daytime TV with season 7, and she's bringing the laughter, the music, and the star power fans can't get enough of. Production kicked off September 8th, and the new season officially premieres September 29th, opening with a heartfelt tribute to the real-life heroes of Texas summer floods. And of course, Kelly's stage will be filled with Hollywood royalty. This season's guest lineup includes Emily Blunt, Julia Roberts, Dwayne Johnson, Scarlett Johansson, Reese Witherspoon, Colin Farrell, Margot Robbie, Lionel Richie, Sylvester Stallone, Channing Tatum, Matthew McConaughey, and Shonda Rhimes. Season 7 is especially meaningful for Kelly. It's her first return to the spotlight following the passing of her ex-husband, Brandon Blackstock, in August. Showing her trademark resilience, Kelly is ready to turn the page, reconnect with fans, and remind viewers why her mix of music, heart, and fun continues to shine in daytime TV. Meanwhile, global superstar Ed Sheeran is going small before going big. The singer just announced a string of intimate arena dates this December, part of his brand new Loop Tour, giving fans a rare up-close experience ahead of his massive 2026 stadium shows. The tour kicks off in the UK with Ed performing at Coventry Building Society Arena on December 5th and Manchester Co-op Live on December 7th. He'll then head to Paris, Munich, and Dublin, treating European fans to a stripped-back, more personal concert vibe. The timing couldn't be better. It all comes just weeks after the release of his brand new album, Play, dropping September 12th. Fans eager to get tickets can unlock pre-sale access by pre-ordering the album before September 7th at 7 p.m. British Standard Time. Pre-sale starts September 9th, while general ticket sales open September 11th. So mark your calendars with new songs, unforgettable hits, and Ed's signature charm. This December shows are set to be one of the hottest tickets of the year. This is Andrea Santos, your citizen correspondent, bringing you the latest showbuzz.
Up next, China puts its power on parade, a show of force marking Victory Day, but sending a message of strength to the world. Putin pushes peace. The Russian leader shrugs off conspiracy claims and praises Donald Trump's peace party. And a hot mic shocker. Xi, Putin, and Kim caught in an unscripted exchange just moments before Beijing's Grand Parade. A private conversation spilled into the public spotlight, raising questions about what the 3 leaders really think behind closed doors. Stay tuned for more news.
the joy, the love, the peace, and compassion to the whole world. We only have one planet. We only have one Earth. And I hope that this new generation of children that we have reached out will become millions and billions and bring peace on Earth. Bring peace to humanity.
Ang buot sa Diyos, kitang mga katawhan, tunay espiritong mupadayon o muantos. Kay nakitan sa Diyos sa unahan, basta mahimo ka ng anak sa Ginoo sa kingharian, daghan ang mga pagsulay. Kung way pagantos, di ka makalahutay. Kung walay pagkamakanunayon, dili gyapon ka makalahutay. Ang tuyo sa Diyos, nga ang matagos ang gitawag, makalahutay. Makalahutay lamang sa mga pagsulay kundili sa pagtubo nga makaabot siya sa ikaupat nga laka nga dito na manukat ang iyang reward.
More than a parade, Beijing's show of strength yesterday signaled ambition, with China positioning itself as a rising force in the world stage with missiles, drones, and a rare show of unity between Xi, Putin, and Kim. Beijing's latest spectacle was as much about the future as it was about honoring the past. Here's Angel Pastor for a summary of China's 80th Victory Day celebration.
China put on its biggest military parade in decades, a massive show of power at Beijing's Tiananmen Square to mark the 80th anniversary of the end of the World War II. The event drew world leaders and sent a strong message about Beijing's growing global ambitions. Tens of thousands gathered in Beijing as China staged its largest ever military parade, commemorating the country's victory over Japan in World War II. Chinese President Xi Jinping stood alongside Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, a rare display of unity among three of the world's most powerful autocratic leaders. Military analysts say the image carried heavy symbolism, signaling a defiance of Western influence and an effort to build new alliances with nations of the global South. On full display, China's latest military technology, from stealth aircraft to underwater drones, hypersonic missiles, and nuclear-capable ICBMs. For the first time, Beijing unveiled its DF-5C intercontinental strategic nuclear missile. Helicopters flew in formation, forming the number 80 to mark 8 decades since Victory Day. The parade also featured 10,000 troops, artillery salvos, and a striking aviation display carrying the flags of China, the Communist Party, and the People's Liberation Army. The event closed with a symbolic release of 80,000 doves of peace and a cascade of balloons, even as experts noted the parade was less about peace and more about projecting strength across land, sea, air, space, and cyberspace. Later, a commemorative gala at the Great Hall of the People paid tribute to China's wartime sacrifice, honoring veterans, martyrs, and the nation's recovery since World War II. World leaders from more than 24 countries attended the celebrations, underscoring Beijing's push to position itself as a central player in reshaping the global balance of power. The spectacle was more than a history lesson. Analysts say it was China's way of showing both friends and rivals that it is ready to take center stage in world affairs. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Angel Pastor, SMNI News.
U.S. President Donald Trump has leveled an extraordinary accusation against the leaders of China, Russia, and North Korea, saying that their leaders are conspiring against the United States. Trump has accused Chinese President Xi Jinping of conspiring with Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, even as he sent them his warmest regards. The extraordinary message came in a post on Truth Social, where Trump wrote, "Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America." His comments came as the three leaders appeared side by side at China's massive 80th Victory Day parade. Trump also pointed out America's role in China's wartime victory, writing, "Many Americans died in China's quest for victory and glory." Later, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov added that China, Russia, and North Korea were acting for the greater good and not against third countries. Closing a 4-day visit to China, Russian President Vladimir Putin drew a contrast between what he called Europe's war party and Donald Trump's peace party, positioning Moscow as ready for talks, not conspiracies. Let's hear more from Jayne Sancho.
Russian President Vladimir Putin dismissed U.S. President Donald Trump's suggestion that Russia, China, and North Korea were working together against the United States.
Президент Соединенных Штатов не лишен юмора, все понятно, мы все это хорошо знаем. У меня с ним добрые отношения сложились. За все эти 4 дня в ходе самых разноформатных переговоров и неформальной обстановки, и формальной, никто и никогда не высказывал каких бы то ни было отрицательных суждений в отношении действующей американской.
Putin said the recent talks in Anchorage show that both sides remain open to dialogue, expressing hope that cooperation could pave the way to easing the war in Ukraine. The Russian leader revealed he and Trump even spoke in English during their Alaska meeting and praised Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, for faithfully conveying Washington's peace position. Putin also drew a sharp line between what he called Europe's war party and the peace party led by Trump.
Есть те, которые говорят, нужно воевать до последнего украинца, а есть те, как некоторые в Европе пытаются сейчас представить дело, а есть те, например, как представители действующей американской администрации, сам президент, которые пытаются найти решения, причем решения мирными.
On the battlefield, Putin claimed Russian forces were making advances, while Ukraine's military lacked the resources for a large-scale offensive. Beyond the Ukraine war, Putin highlighted cooperation at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, stressing the group was not aimed at confronting the West, but fostering development through unity. His visit also included China's massive victory parade, marking 80 years since the end of World War II, attended by more than 24 world leaders. For Putin, the message was clear. Despite tensions with the West, Moscow is positioning itself alongside Beijing and its allies, while holding open the door to talks with Washington. The Kremlin leader's comments come just weeks after his high-profile meetings with Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, a diplomatic push that could shape the next phase of the conflict. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Jayne Sancho, SM9 News.
A rare moment before Beijing's Victory Day parade is making headlines. Xi Jinping, Putin, and Kim caught on a so-called hot mic discussing how long humans might live in the future. As the three leaders prepared to watch China's massive military parade, cameras captured fragments of their private exchange. Putin is heard suggesting that with advances in technology, while Xi Jinping appears to respond that.
Раньше у нас говорят, что очень редко кто старше 70 лет. А сегодня говорят, что 70 лет еще ребенок.
Куря.
代表发展人类的器官会不断的移植，甚至越活越年轻，甚至会长生不老。预测呢，本世纪呢，可能另外可以活到150岁。Есть прогнозы, что в этом мире человек
The audio is incomplete. The recording from the host broadcaster did not capture the full context of the conversation. At least 15 people are dead and 18 more injured after Lisbon's iconic Gloria funicular derailed during the evening rush hour. The historic tram, a symbol of the Portuguese capital since 1885, came off the tracks Wednesday, 6 p.m. local time, leaving one car destroyed. Emergency crews rushed to pull passengers from the wreckage. Caras, the public transportation company that operates the funicular, said it immediately contacted emergency and security forces without elaborating on the possible reasons that caused the crash. Portugal's President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa expressed deep regret, while Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez called it a terrible accident. The cause of the derailment is still under investigation. What started as a 5-year-old's bold breakfast mission in Jacksonville turned into a heartwarming story of community care after police safety reunited the young boy with his family, all thanks to his love for Chick-fil-A. Cherilyn Lanillo for the story.
A hungry Florida boy with craving for Chick-fil-A decided to take matters into his own hands this summer. 5-year-old William slipped out of his Jacksonville home while his parents were still asleep, squeezed through the backyard fence, and walked down the street to his favorite restaurant. Deputies with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office found William inside, already enjoying a breakfast sandwich alongside a Chick-fil-A manager. According to body cam footage, the young boy nervously asked officers if they will take him to jail, and one officer assured him he's not gonna put him to jail. After his meal, William got a special ride in a patrol car as police helped him find his way home. His parents were stunned when officers knocked on their door with their adventurous son, admitting they hadn't realized he was gone. His dad called it an adventure, one that gave the family a fright, but also taught William a valuable lesson. Weeks later, the family officers and Chick-fil-A staff shared a reunion filled with gratitude and smiles, turning a moment of worry into a sweet memory. Cherilyn Lanillo, your citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
Well, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Oh, man. I can't wait. Thank you.
Awesome.
In football, Tottenham's Jed Spence is eyeing history, hoping to become the first Muslim to play for England's senior men's team as the Three Lions gear up for World Cup qualifiers. And over in basketball, Britain is celebrating a long-awaited breakthrough at Eurobasket, snapping a 12-year drought with a statement win over Montenegro. Let's hear more of these sports updates from Carlo De La Peña.
Tottenham defender Jed Spence says Spence forced his way in the first team last season, completing full matches in 19 of their final 22 league games and helping secure the club's first major trophy in 17 years. Now firmly established, Spence is ready to seize his chance on the international stage under manager Thomas Tuchel. England play Andorra at Villa Park on Saturday before meeting Serbia in Belgrade on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Britain ended a 12-year Eurobasket drought with an 89-83 upset of Montenegro, led by Miles Hessen's 25 points. Despite Nikola Vucevic's 31 points, Montenegro's 18 turnovers proved costly. Both teams were eliminated, with Sweden advancing alongside Germany, Lithuania, and Finland. In Group A, Portugal edged Estonia 68-65 to qualify, with Rafael Lisboa hitting a clutch 3 and free throws despite Celtic center Nimias Keta's ejection. Portugal next meets Germany. Host Latvia thrilled fans with a 109-75 rout of the Czech Republic, powered by brothers Davis and Dairis Bertans, and will face Lithuania in the last 16. Turkey topped Serbia 95-90 to win Group A, as Alperen Şengün starred with 28 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 assists. Nikola Jokic had 22 for Serbia. Knockout play begins Saturday in Riga, with Turkey versus Sweden and Serbia versus Finland. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Carlo de la Peña bringing you the latest sports news.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the sun. You cannot defeat darkness by darkness, evil by evil, and hate by hate. You can only defeat darkness by light, evil by good, and hate by love. And as we keep track of the countdown, there's only 112 days left before Christmas. And that's all for this edition of Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Jayne Codnita. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.